Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy! Today I have this piece of yew. This was brought to me from grandson Sean. It was a log when he brought it. It's about 26 inches long, about 14-inch diameter, and I cut a piece off with my chainsaw. See what I can do with it. This will be only the second time I've ever turned yew. The first time was not fun and the result was not beautiful, and I'm hoping for more out of this. And when he brought this to me, it was standing just like this. Of course it was a whole log, but it was standing like this, and when you look at the end grain here, you can kind of see a real deep red maybe. I'm not sure if that comes through on the camera, but it's a real deep red. And then whoever cut that off, it kind of shows pink. And then on this side, holy smokes, look at that. Wow, really nice. But guess what? I don't think it's that color at all. I cut a clearance hole here from putting it on my woodworm screw. Clearance hole for the chuck. And it's just plain old kind of beige looking wood. So I don't know what I'm going to get out of this. I can tell you it's hard. My drill press had a real hard time cutting this 3.5-inch hole, but we're going to give it a go. And I'm just going to mount it up on my woodworm screw just the way it is. I'm not going to round it up. It's going to be a natural edge bowl. This piece happens to be about 13 inches this way by about 12 inches this way, and it's just barely going to clear my bedway. So I'll get it on there. Hopefully it will work, and we'll get to turning a yew bowl. Stand by. I don't think that's going to work. Hitting that corner there. Okay, off to the bandsaw I go. Okay, I cut it down some. It's out of balance, of course. It's not real bad. I'm going to be turning at about 500 RPM, mask and face shield on, and I'm going to try my swept back 5/8 inch bowl gouge. I haven't used this for a long time. It's what I used to use all the time. The reason I'm using it, it's a little bit bigger than the other ones. So we'll see how it does. Stand by. This has this really big gap. Can you see that? I don't know what that's going to end up being, but we'll find out as we go along. I've just spent a few minutes shooting super glue into several cracks that I've found, and I marked out for my tenon down here. And now I'm going to take my standard grind bowl gouge and flatten out the bottom and create the tenon and make a rim for this to sit on. Well, I seldom do this, but I think I'm going to turn it around and put it in the chuck and start working the top side here. Turning at about 630 RPM. About 710 RPM. I'm going to take a break and sharpen up. I think I'm going to have to get out my hollowing tool to get over here. Oh boy. See that right there? That crack right there, that corresponds to this huge opening back here. So I'm afraid I'm closer to that than I thought. I'm going to stick this down in the opening. Maybe like this. Well, I'm about a ½ inch. I don't know if I'm down as far as I can go on the outside here. Well, I don't think I want a big hole in it. Maybe I do. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Duh. I wonder what it's like to work on a piece that doesn't have cracks in it. This is all going to look really good. All sanded up, lightly sanded. It's going to look good. Well, just can't get in there any other way. Maybe I can get a few more strokes. You know what? I think I'm done for the day. Hey, I'm an old guy. I don't put in 8-hour days. I'll see you back here tomorrow. We'll probably go with a hollowing tool to get into the sides here. I've still got a long ways to go in depth. See you in the morning. Well, it's the next day and I've been thinking about this and I'm just really having a dilemma about it. What I currently have is wall thickness of about 1.25 inches and a bottom that's about 2.5 inches thick. I've got a couple of problems. One is the fact that this side here is so much lower than this side here. I was going to go after the wall thickness with this hollowing tool and I'm just wondering what's going to happen. I don't really want to open this up anymore, so I guess I'll just be hitting air over here. I guess that part's okay. The main problem is, like I showed you, this what looks like a stain is actually a crack right in here. Right there, it's a crack. And that coincides with this very large gap on the bottom of the bowl, on the side of the bowl. And when I put my measuring tool inside that crack and come here, I'm at about 3/4 inch. And I really don't want to put a hole in the side of this bowl. But I have to go much deeper and I have to get the walls thinner at least up here at the top so that when you slide your fingers in there, it feels somewhat thin and then maybe gets a little wider, a little bit wider, that's okay down in here. So I just don't know quite how to attack this. And then once I take that bottom down, say another 2 inches deeper, how am I going to blend that with this without going through the side? I don't know the answer. So I guess I'll attack this in stages. I guess I'll use my hollowing tool to come in here and thin down the side, staying just short of that crack. This here is just a stain, these two pieces, these two lines. But that one's a crack that I can get my fingernail into. That third one at the bottom. I'm sure these will be cracks when I get a little bit deeper, but right now they're just stains. So I'm gonna do the sides first. About 900 RPM. I'm using this tool properly. It has this guide where you have to keep this part over the tool rest, but it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. I'm going to switch to just a straight hollowing tool. See if that somehow feels better. You have to be so far away from the work with this, you know, you have to be at least that far away, and it just wants to grab it and take it down. This one, I can extend out over the tool rest this far from this line to the point. And that might be better. Guess we'll find out. It's the first time I've ever used this. Just got it. Just seems like so much torque on that little tip. It seems to me it's hard to control. Let me see how I'm doing with my crack here. Well, I've been staying away from it, and that's kind of the idea, I guess. Still got a long ways to go. I leaned against my stop switch, but I was going to stop in a second anyway. Now it's good. I don't know how I'm going to get in here and blend that. Plus I have to go so much deeper in the bottom. What a puzzle. If I didn't care about the face of this, or the top of it, if I didn't care about that, it'd be no problem, but I do care. I think it looks really cool with this white line around there. And I just don't want to change any of that. Just kind of the right amount of naturalness to it. This is slow going. Well, I did get below my line that time, my crack. I don't mind a slight opening there, slight, but I just don't want a big hole. Maybe I should go to making it deeper. How am I going to do that? I don't know. I don't know why this is so different. It just is. Well, I'm still thinking about this. This is just a puzzle. I can't really, because of the way the top of the sides stick out, I can't really get in here and go this way. And I have that crack down here that I want to avoid anyway, so I can't really do that. So I used to, before I knew better, I used to hollow this way. And now that I know better, I'm afraid to. But I think that's my best option, but it's scary. But that's what I'm going to do now, is because I got to go 2 more inches in depth. That's a long ways in this thing. So stand by for accidents waiting to happen. Told you. Let's check our progress on the bottom here. Well, about 1.25 inches. I reduced it by half. That's quite a feat. But of course I know I'm avoiding this crack here. I don't know how I'm going to blend that yet without going through the side. Oh yeah, see, that's getting pretty rotten. I just might be stuck with that unless I want to go through there. As it is, I'm going to have to put super glue or something on there. Or I do have some wood hardener. Some of the viewers have been telling me, use that wood hardener. Maybe I'll have to do that there. Dang it. I really like the overall look of the piece. I guess it just is what it is, you know. Not every bowl can have thin walls. Okay, back to the bottom. Although I just can't go much further because I still have to I have to even it out, smooth it out with the sides. I'm gonna go back to this. It's not that I feel like I'm ready for scraping, but I think I'm going to scrape just to even all this out and see what it looks like. We might be about done, I don't know. What a puzzle. Look what you got me into. I sure don't like the way scrapers raise the grain like that. I guess I can sand it off, but I'll have to start maybe at 60 grit. And that's definitely going to require some kind of treatment. I wanted to keep it all natural. I don't want it to shine inside here. Yeah, I kind of think we're just about done. I got a little ridge right there. Don't worry, you're going to like this. You're going to like all this. It's going to look nice. I'm going to use my Sandoflex to sand all this up. Nice and smooth. No little things hanging out. What am I going to do about this down here? Anything I put on there is going to discolor it. And if I put it on from outside and just let it soak through, then it's going to go all over the dang place. Well, I'm going to turn the camera off and contemplate on this rotten area. How am I going to fix it? I don't know. I'll be back. I'll figure it out. Okay, I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. There's no point in you watching me sand for what I imagine is going to be an enormous amount of hours. What I'm going to do is take my Sandoflex with 180 grit paper in it. That's the finest I have. And I'm going to sand this top area. Sand it just like that without it spinning, and I'll also sand it from the inside out. And what that'll do is kind of round over these edges a little bit and just take off the sharpness. And this natural area will be all cleaned up and it'll look real good, ready for finish. Then I'm going to take this, I'm going to loosen this nut on here. I'm going to back this off a little bit, and that will allow these sandpaper fingers to come out as far as I want. So that will allow me to get up inside of here, inside this big gap, which is about 10 inches long, I guess. And it goes way back up in there and actually comes out inside. And yes, you can see light through there. In fact, you can probably see through there if you held it up to your eyes. So I will use this to clean that area out real well with longer fingers on it. Can you see that? That'll get up in there. So I will do that, and then once I'm done sanding with the Sandoflex, I'm just going to take my 2-inch disc sander and I'm going to sand the outside all the way around, starting with 80 grit and going up through at least 400, and then I'll be doing the inside. Same situation, just like you've seen me do a million times before. Actually, before I start using the 2-inch, I am going to do this now because I want to do inside this crack. And then I'm going to apply this Minwax wood hardener. I've never used it before, I've had it for a while, and this must be the time. So I'm going to pour some in this little can, and I'm going to take this little acid brush, and I'm just going to dab it in there. I'm going to come around here and dab it in there, and then I'm going to let that set up overnight, and then tomorrow I'll use my 2-inch sanding disc to finish sanding this whole bowl inside and out. Sounds like a blast, right? I can't wait. Okay, this is Zinsser Seal Coat shellac based sanding sealer. And of course I don't get anything when I mention a brand or something. I'm telling you that. I don't get anything from anybody. I'm just, a lot of times people will ask what kind of sanding sealer do you use or what kind of sandpaper or whatever. I'm just letting you know. I think this piece has enough interest in it that it will overcome all of its faults. At least that's my hope. I did another piece kind of like this once, and the video's out there, and it's called Rustic. Rustic piece, and that's why I called it Rustic, because it's just that. It's not a finely finished piece. And once I get this on inside and out, I'll take a little brush and brush it into that big gap there. And I will put at least 2 coats of this sanding sealer on, and at least 2 coats of shellac finish over that. Also Zinsser brand shellac. Doesn't have to be, it's just what I happen to have. And these 2 dents, those are natural dents. I didn't put them in there. They were there when I got this piece of wood, and I just left them there for interest's sake. And that red, that's the only place that shows up red on this piece, and I have no idea why. And if you look beyond it, it doesn't appear to be red, inside or out. I will admit to not sanding it very much because I didn't want it to go away, but I did sand it some, and it does feel smooth. It doesn't look smooth, but it feels smooth. And as always, I'll use steel wool in between coats. That's the only thing I've found that'll knock this down really well. Sandpaper just clogs. I suppose a lot of people would just give up on this and say it's just too ugly to have in the house, but I'm not those people. You get so many hours into a piece, and you've touched every square inch of it. You know every crack in it. This one doesn't have any bug holes. How about that? Anyway, you just get your time invested in it, and you don't want to give up, or at least I don't want to. So we'll just add this to the rustic pile. So I'm going to let this set for an hour or so. Actually, I'm going to let it set overnight because I'm just pooped. And I'll come out here tomorrow and steel wool it and put on another coat. And then a couple of coats of shellac. And I will bring you back when it's time to turn it around and take off the tenon. Okay, that's going to work. And we'll start with a 1/2 inch standard grind bowl gouge to remove that tenon. And we'll be turning about 500 RPM. Check for clearance, got lots of clearance. I'm going to sand this on the lathe. Typically I would take it off the lathe to do that, but because it's kind of big and because I've got a kind of a little dome right here, goes down, up and down, I want to sand that by hand. Typically when I remove a tenon on the lathe, I remove it all the way. This bowl is so heavy that I may not do that this time. If it were to get away from me, it would be dramatic. And I don't need any drama today. I'm applying quite a bit of pressure from the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl, just in case this breaks loose before I want it to. And I have my left hand on the switch. I don't know if I'm going to stop before it goes through or if I'm going to go ahead and take it through. Just kind of playing it by ear here. Pretty small now. A lot of pressure. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch. There. You see that nub stopped turning, so we know we're through. I was just kind of feeling it along as I went to see if it seemed like a good idea, and it seemed pretty stable. So we were able to remove it the whole way. And now I'm going to take it over here on the workbench and just sand that little part up in the middle. Well, there we have it. One U bowl in the books. Got the bottom finished up nicely. Seems like an exceptional piece of wood to me. That look like, well, it kind of looks like a shark that way. I thought it looked like a pumpkin earlier. Looks like a shark mouth. Here's his two little deformed eyes. It's a heavy piece due to the thick walls. It was not easy. Not my easiest turning. Not my best turning either. However, I feel like it's the best I could do on this particular piece. I'm not going to do this kind of mouth anymore. I don't know how guys do it, but I don't do it well. That's what I know. You just cannot get your chisel in here to make that corner. I can't. Someone else probably can. But it's done, and I like it, and that's what counts. Well, if you like it, that counts as well. And if you do like it, I truly appreciate that. That makes it all worthwhile. Please leave a comment. I read every one of them and I respond to every one of them. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos, about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.